I'm Cheryl. I am 29 this year, and I was from NUS, history student, married for 4 years. Oh my goodness, okay. And because I'm a teacher, so I'm going to use my teaching tools on you guys. Can you please get me some code? Okay. And when you're entering your name, right? Depends on how comfortable you are with sharing, because we're going to get some responses from you guys lah. Okay, I don't know whether, well, oh, sorry, online. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Let me share. Ayo. Sorry, can we rejoin? This is sorry again. That was fun. Your class code 11165. Okay, so if you want to share anonymously, you can just put like some acronyms that don't need anything. But if you don't mind sharing, like put your name. Thank you. Or you can download the site if you want to. Yeah, but I mean, you don't need to lah. Just absorb. Photo, grab, how many people do we have? I don't know whether Ben and Glenn see the. Are you able to see the last point? You share screen on the desktop. I share screen. So I can't share them. I'm not able to see the screen. If not, you can try to go classpoint.app, Google classpoint.app, and then 11165. Is it everybody? Do you can do? 11 and somebody's not in there. 11, right? Who is not inside? Sorry? Is it me? Oh, 11. Okay, thank you everybody for joining. Okay, so just to start off, it's better to have love and lost than never to have lost at all. So a bit of like, okay, courage for y'all. Like, it's okay to lose love, even if it doesn't last till marriage, right? It's okay to try, right? But before we get going, can I get y'all just some data collection, right? You already know what to do. I'm currently in a relationship. Okay, choose option A if you are. Okay, in a relationship, choose option B if you're not. One more button. One more thing. Okay, so 5 of us are this is quite evenly spread out, some stuff, right? Save for review. So the next time can we respond? Okay, the second question. I am not in a relationship, so out of the 6 that I desire to be in one, yes or no? So it should be 6. 2. Okay. Yes. One more person who is single. There were 6 singles, right? So there should be one more. I'm sure it is, but I'm sure. 5 means 5 are in a relationship, right? Yeah. Okay, so only 3 people want to be in a relationship, and 2 people do not want to, and of course, like 5 people are in a relationship. Okay? Okay, so what are the reasons for wanting to be in a relationship? So those who are in a relationship and those who want to be in a relationship, you can see it your. Yes. Yes, maybe the one. Unless you also want to tell us why you don't want to be in a relationship. Also can. Oh, sorry. Who said yeah? Maybe sorry, start. What time limit one? Start. Yeah. It closed up. I think it's 1 minute. Is it? Okay, yeah, 30 seconds. Sorry. 20 seconds. For those who don't want to, you can also write down why you don't want to be in a relationship. The gentleman who just joined. He just joined, right? Can he join? So are you inside? So? Oh, okay, great, right. So I assume these individuals either do not want to. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let us look at the different responses and what is the common trend that we see from everyone's response. Let me ask. And no, never mind. Shall we? Yes. What is the common response that you see from all the people who want to be in a relationship? What is the reason? Okay. Susan, yeah. For example, you need a companion to buy a house. Yes. Okay. Now some questions are why is that companionship different? Or how is it different from a friend? Right? How is the companionship of another half different from friend? Anyone who mentioned companionship wants to try and answer, but why would you want companionship that is more than just a friend? Anybody? Let's see. Who wrote this? Of course, that. Okay, we don't need to answer, but you need to ask yourself, right? Right? What's the difference between friendship and like the companionship there? Okay. Okay, next question. For those who are, I'm so sorry, sorry, again. For those who are not wanting to be in a relationship, you're the one, right? For those who are, okay, maybe if you have some situation, you can also put it now, right? If you don't have any situation, you can say single dot colon and then yeah. So if you're in a relationship, then you put relationship colon da, da, da. If you're single, right? Even if you, I think, yeah, you don't want to be in a relationship, but okay, you are still, you can still be married at some time. Or you really have no confusion, then who are you? What time is it? Okay. Certain time. Okay, from that. Yeah. I thought it was you. Very much. Sorry. Should I duplicate? Okay, I see now. You can see us.
Can you say something like that?
Can I hear? Okay, I'll see now.
Okay, now we can see. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, and then you can join also using this. Audio that. Okay. About okay, right? So like may not be able to date with other people who are in a relationship. This is why I'm having to take into account my partner. Okay, so okay, during Chinese New Year, right? Stress and disappointment, double, not really a frustration, but more of our differences in habits can cause disagreement, still learning about one another. Okay? Yeah. Is there anyone else left? Pending 3. Okay. Okay, so I guess right, some frustrations that we can have potentially would be like wondering, is it me, right? Okay, even though we know in our minds we are beautifully and wonderfully made, right? But there will always be then that doubt, especially as people around you get into relationships, is it me? Is it something to do with me, right? And then you start to question. Okay, but honestly, there is someone for everyone, right? And sometimes when you start working, it's just very difficult to meet anyone else new, right? So it is about timing also, which sometimes we are not blessed to have, say, during uni, right? And then when you start working, it becomes increasingly difficult. Other frustrations could be you may have some expectations that you have of what your potential partner should be or should be like, right? And as you meet people, you can't find a match, right? And then you will ask yourself, am I being too picky, or is there really no one out there for me, right? Who can meet my expectations? Some other frustrations could be that why is God not honoring me? Like, God, I serve you, right? How come like this is not happening, right? Even though I pray and I ask God, sometimes your frustration may be directed towards God, right? Okay, but again, when we bring our burdens to Him, I don't know whether we are carrying it back up again when we leave the cross, or are we really leaving it at the cross, right? And really surrendering it. Then, of course, there are those among us who are perfectly happy being single, which is the 4 people, right? Okay, so I just want to challenge you all to ask, is it truly that you are happy where you are, or is it, say, you're comfortable, right, and you don't want to be pushed out of your comfort zone, or you just feel like maybe I don't need to put in the effort, I can just stay where I am, and that is good enough for me. Okay, but it can also be both, right? It can also be where God wants you to be, being single. So it's important to always check yourself, right? Because you don't know where you are when you just move and cruise and not reflect. Okay, frustrations in a relationship. Okay, so for those who are single, there are also definitely frustrations in a relationship. Like what one of y'all said, giving up your singlehood, your freedom. Okay, I resonate greatly with that. But being able to do whatever you want, wherever you want, it's like no longer reality lah. Okay, but it's about finding then the joy in doing things with your partner that is exceeding beyond doing what you want, right? And also compromise. Learning to live with and love one another, that's another one that was mentioned, the process of learning about one another and kind of learning how to accept and overcome the differences. This one, Josh, okay, Josh is my husband, so he needs to learn how to live with me because I'm a very spontaneous person, right? Yeah, and so I would just want to do whatever, and then I'll leave a lot of things like halfway done lah. So he's the one who's picking up the pieces after me, right? Yeah, but then I also need to learn like how to love Josh because sometimes things fly over his head, right? Like he just cannot sense what's happening in the situation. He's not emotionally attuned, right? But you have to find out that when you are in a relationship, or those who are in a relationship, how are you going to conflict resolve, right? What's the best way to talk it out? So for me and my husband, the best way is not to talk face to face. The best way is to text each other when we fight. So we will on Telegram text each other, and then because you take time to like process, right, what you're trying to say, then you won't like say things that you may regret. You know what I mean? And I'm very like impulsive, right? So and then it will just like end up in pillow throwing and like, you know, so it's not very good to, yeah. I throw pillow at the cupboard. Yeah. So yeah. Nobody was hurt. Yeah. Just something soft and cushiony. Okay, this one the church doesn't really talk about it, right? It's always just okay, hold hands and bam, then sex already, right? Okay, but I think it's important for us to know, right, that there is an in-between, and that it is not easy, okay, as a couple to always uphold, right, that hallmark of purity, okay? And I think it is very important for us to talk about the love personally between couples and to journey with one another through the difficulties and potential temptation, okay? Yeah, so to love at all is to be vulnerable, to actually be open to your own weaknesses, right? And to be willing to let your heart be broken, potentially. It doesn't need to be another half, right? For those who desire to continue to be single, it can be anyone, right, that you want to love. Then it is also how Christ bore himself like on the cross for us, right? He didn't love with conditions. He didn't love in the safety of himself as God, right? He loved with sacrifice. So I pray that we will have courage, right, to step out and actually, potentially die from loving the other person, right? But we live love when we die. Okay. So next short answer: how can we honor God in our singlehood? Since half of us are single, and when you were single, if you're in a relationship, how did you honor God, or how do you feel we should honor God when we are single? Bearing in mind the frustration. Okay. For the people who just came in, can you Google classpoints.app and then enter the code 11165? Then you will be in, you see the slide and then you can input your response. The question is, how can we honor God in our singlehood? If you want to use some negative examples, also can, right? What is like you're not really honoring God in our singlehood? Right? No, anyone can chat actually. You join again, is it? We have 10 more people, so it will give like 2 minutes. While waiting, you can read your friendship sponsors. Maybe Glenn, do you want to clarify what you mean? Oh, there's another also online Glenn. Your Glenn too, is it? No. Glenn one, do you want to clarify what do you mean by this?
Well, I guess everyone can hear me, right?
You can speak, and then if they can't hear you, then
Okay. I guess like maybe when fear comes in or doubt comes in, then there's a temptation to do otherwise, to trust in ourselves or to think otherwise. Then we submit to God first, knowing that He's the one that will fulfill us and satisfy us in every way possible, and just wait for His timing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Yeah, right. instead of trying to be a Sarah, right? And get your husband pregnant. I mean, not pregnant, your husband, to have your kid, right? Yeah, you trust in God's timing. Okay. Brett says, abide in Christ, love God, and die to yourself daily, surrendering to God and trusting His timing. Okay, good. This one, equip plan 2, right? Equipping ourselves with life skills and stuff in ministries that will not be possible. So maximizing the time that you're single, right? Yeah, continuing to do His work and believing and not being frustrated. Do not. Who is Sean for you? Not here. Oh yes. Okay. Do you want to explain a bit about what do you mean by stumbling others?
Sean Farquhar just said that right, is to keep your intentions pure, right, and clear, and not to stumble the person. Like maybe, are you saying like lead them on? Yeah, right. Okay, just to satisfy, say, your feeling of being desired per se. Good. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Where's my cursor? Okay. The same way we honor God when we are attached. Let's see, is there any others? Okay, Daniel, earn money from honest gains, plan wise spending so that you can save up for a future house, is it? And spend some time in church, even for once a week after work. Daniel, why spend some time in church? Okay, so to make your weekends fruitful, right? Right, in God and in family. Okay, Chris, using our availability to do things. Yes, okay, similar to Glenn. Okay, so thank you all, right, for your responses. Okay, so there's a difference, right, between passively and waiting and actively waiting. And of course, Paul said it's better to be unmarried because you can do far more things, right, as compared to when you are married and you have to take care, and you must be responsible for your family and your spouse. Okay, so are we actually actively working on ourselves? I think some of y'all say, right, continue doing, growing in your relationship with God and not being complacent, working on yourself to become like more and more like the person whom you desire as well, right? Loving and serving Him without bitterness in our hearts, and actually trusting Him. I think it's easier said than done, but I think it's important to be honest with ourselves and even honest with maybe people who we are accountable to when we are facing bitterness. How do we walk out of it? Okay, being open to opportunities. Okay, this one is about like stepping out. Okay, for example, when your friend wants to introduce someone to you, right? Okay, will you be open, right, to meeting the person, or you'll be like, no, like I only want the traditional way of meeting somebody, which is like on the street, I don't know, like in a community, right? Okay, or are we okay, maybe not, that's not very traditional, right? Okay, like then you fall to the ground. Okay, I don't know what lah. Right? So okay, second one, I guess for those who are single, we can also answer, right? When you are in a relationship, how can you honor God, right? And it's clear, right? It's not whether you are single or whether you're in a relationship, but of course the context is different. How will you or how can you, if you are in a relationship, honor God? Supposed to have music. But it's not going through the speakers. Maybe those who are in a relationship, you can compare lor. Is it the same? Is it different? Has it changed? Sean. So I have a few more people. Okay, let's go through a few, right? I think it is easy to lose sight, right, of sometimes when, especially the honeymoon phase, right, then like God fades into the background. Okay, but it's important, right, in the long term to find God in the center. And I think we all know lah, right, the God, like the triangle, right, of the relationship. Because you will find that you will hit roadblocks, right? And then you'll realize it's because you have lost sight of God in the relationship. Amanda, caring and praying for one another, for the other person, actively serving together, because 1 + 1 is more than 2, indeed. Amanda, you want to share a bit about how you have experienced that 1 + 1 is more than 2?
Then we went to one of the neighbors' house. It was not just like, I mean, we were able to work together to put up something for the family. If I was there, I would have
Right. Okay. Yeah. So she shared about their experience reaching out the community where they have more courage, right? With her partner, they could do more, definitely more than when they were alone. There is one here. Okay, Glenn online. What do you mean by running through different situations?
I guess when like something like you shared also like when you're angry, like how do you respond? So like different situations of how you want to put God in the center when things happen, or yeah lah, just communicate lah. Communication is key lah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Sean, I don't think you need to keep your hands off each other already lah after I mean, okay, relationship, yes lah, right? To what extent? Yeah, not Toto. I know who's Toto. Love and respect your partner, right? Seeking God first. Okay, I'm gonna close. Okay, so right. Again, passive and active honoring. To always know that God put you all together to sharpen one another, right? It will definitely be difficult at times, but it is to refine you, right? And to refine the other individual, and not to like, why are we fighting so much? Why is it not working? We should give up, right? Okay. Loving and sowing into your community, right? The community that God has placed you in, as what Amanda said, actually together y'all should be more impactful, right? And you should be able to give more lah, right? So finding out the areas in which you overlap in service, and when you are working together, it actually impacts greater. Could be like worship, could be reaching out to people intentionally as a couple, which brings me to the third point. And the couple here is actually like one of the couples that are walking with us. So we have a few couples that we journey together with, but they are the ones that are from Joshua's previous church, the Fire Methodists. And they're very, very like open and honest with telling us about the problems of their relationship. Even so, they don't put up like a false front that they are perfect, right? They tell us what they're struggling with. And he's very, very honest. He's even very honest because he used to work in church. He will share about his struggles with being attracted to opposite gender, right? And how that impacts his relationship, right? So, but I think God really, really blessed them and their heart for him. And like they have a baby, right? Which they longed for a very long time. So I'm very, very grateful for them now. Yeah, and whatever we go through, like we can tell them honestly, and they are then not only to like hear us out, but to give us like godly advice. Yeah. And so in your relationship, if you're in a relationship or you want to be in a relationship in the future, can we also be that to them, to others, as well as find people who are more mature than us to walk with us? Okay, and of course, praying and seeking about his purpose for you as a couple, right? It doesn't need to be like go to Nepal and change the world, right? Okay, but in the day-to-day as well, what is his purpose for you? Okay, so what happens after the wedding? It's just like teaser lah, right? This is just my experience. Of course, everybody else's experience can differ, but you realize after being like one, right? You are one not just with the person, but with their families. And it is also about how much you want to be one with the family, right? And learning to love them as like your own family. So can you guess which one is my family? Left or right? Which one look like me? Yeah, why is it so dark? Because the light's too bright already lah. Okay. Yes, obviously, right? That's my family. And this one is obviously Joshua's family because the dad has the same cheeks as him. Exactly the same. Okay, so which is the dad? This is the dad. It's definitely not the dad. The lights are not very helpful with this.
They got the same hairline.
Okay, so this is Joshua, my husband. Father, mother, sister's boyfriend. Older sister, my family. Mother, father. His father, I'm not brother, his brother. This is brother's wife. Newly wedded. Yeah, okay, very round, like the nose also very round. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, just sharing a bit about how difficult it is lah. This is the family trip to Switzerland. Like Switzerland is so damn beautiful, right? But it was like very difficult to plan cause I think Josh and I were very spontaneous people, right? So we can like, okay, Aga, we are going to this place. The next day, the previous day, we'll plan what we're going to do the next day. But we didn't realize that we are leading entire family and they want to know where we are going also the next day. And we realized like their spending habits also very different. How they view money also very different. So the dad is very okay to spend because he is the sole breadwinner, right? He earns like say 5 digits, so he's okay to spend. But the mom is a housewife and she's always been saving for the family. So, but we are in Switzerland and nothing is cheap in Switzerland, right? And so I brought them to a cafe that Einstein used to go to, like when he was alive lah. Okay, and so the food was slightly cold and a bit salty. So she's like, very giam giam. Then I was just very affected because I was trying my best to bring them around to the best places in Switzerland lah, right, for the entire trip. But so it was like breaking point lah. Yeah, then she said, "Aya, what's so expensive?" And then my husband was like, "Mommy, can you don't lah?" So she got like so affected that she ran out of the cafe into the streets of Switzerland, and then the dad just like stood there and like continued eating. Like, oh my gosh. Then after that, my husband was like, "Daddy, should you just go and find her?" And turns out she was like at the corner of the street lah, right? So like we tried to talk it out on the trip, but I think it's just very different in terms of how they view how decisions should be made, right? And it's how far you want to push it also, whether you want to change your parents totally or you want to love them regardless, right? But sometimes it's also you don't want to sweep things under the blood of Jesus Christ, right? Oh, we're all sinners and then we don't need to work on anything lah. But that was particularly difficult. I think we tried to talk it out after the trip, and some things you really know you can't, it's out of your hands to resolve lah, but you just surrender. Then for my family, Joshua also got his fair share of struggles to love. So my mom is the very 嘴硬心软, the mouth very sharp, her words are very sharp, right? But she loves very deeply lah. So thank God he's not here. This is a trip to my mom's kampong in Malaysia. And we were playing mahjong, and then like my Josh is very slow lah in terms of learning, and like because it's new to him, see? So my mom will be like, you 看这样久你还不会啊, that kind of thing. Or like when we were ordering coffee or something, then she'll just say something like, "Oh no, we were eating wonton noodles. Then got the pork fat, right? Yeah, then he didn't want to eat it, even though he loves it. Then after that, my mom was like, 这样好吃的东西不要吃啊. Then like 以后你不吃我煮的东西就不给你吃了, that kind of thing. Then he's just like, then you know, I mean those who know my husband, he's like very quiet one lah. Then he will just like affected inside, but then he won't say anything. But it was like subsequent in a single day, like I think 4 such occasions happened. So the mahjong thing happened, right? Then he just like left the table. He's like, I cannot. And he just left. Then we were like, are you serious? Like, why? Then he went to the bedroom lah. Then he was like crying. Then I was like, oh no. Then like, so this is like, then after that we walked to my grandfather's grave and like talked it out loud. And then yeah, this is where we took this photo, right? So it's also very difficult for him, but he needs to learn how to love my mom, even though like she's like that. Like, I grew up with her, so like we are used to it. But he didn't grow up in that family, you see. Yeah. So it is how much you want to invest and to love the other person's family as your own, even though they are technically not naturally your family. Okay, then properly rooting ourselves, of course, in community. I think that can happen before marriage, definitely. Ha 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 ha, yes, that's a familiar face. When was this photo taken, Sean? Yes, during camping. So yeah, Chris, Amanda, we are, I don't know, Amanda eventually, yes, also we PPH, right? From the same cell group with Sarah, I don't know, Sarah Chan and Matt, right? So we went to reach out to the community for Chinese New Year, and yeah, I think I'm very grateful for these folks, because we were searching and searching for a community. We were very badly hurt in our previous church to the point where we didn't really want to commit to a community that is structured. And then in our previous church, we were so drained from service, right? To the point that we don't want to commit already, like, because it will just suck you dry, right? So, but we really value, like, we see the value in the importance of community, and we are thankful to have found this cell group that really is there to work with us and be open. But before that, these individuals here, we were going through COVID, right? And we were churchless, and we were living with them before COVID hit, because they opened up their house to us and we're renting from them now. So they were very much our community. We ate every single meal together, and cooked together where we fought and everything, right? And we were imagining what community meant to us, to live and to work with people, right? Yeah, but now they're in Abu Dhabi, so it's okay. Okay, my last slide, right? It is ultimately a choice, right? To love the other person. I don't know whether y'all can see zoom. Many times I will need to look at the ring and remind myself that I will love Josh more than this. And this is engraved on both our rings, right? That whatever the circumstance, I will love him more than this. And I must be honest, there are times where I did not live up to this, right? But I think we are human but we still need this. Therefore, that's why we need this as a reminder to choose to love the individual, even when we may fail certain days. But this is the vow. Do not forget the vows. Do not forget what we promise each other. Yeah. Okay, that's the end of my sharing. Thank you for listening. And I will pass the time on to Christopher Chang.
Sorry, I already left the life engineering behind.
Not sure, sorry.
See, I don't know what I'm working on. Just my cell group. Okay, I don't have fancy things like her I'm just using Google Slides, right? Oh, the mic. Okay. Do I clip it? Those on the chat can hear me at that? Oh, sorry, the Zoom.
Yes.
Group. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. So I guess I heard from Sean today that a lot of you are engineers. So, wait, how many of you are engineers? Engineer. Wow. Okay, a lot. So that's why I guess maybe he invited me to speak to you guys. No, okay. So just a bit about my. Oh, this one really went through just now already, right? I think just now Sharon has gone through. So we understand your profile. Okay. So about me, I graduated 5 years ago, right? Currently, I'm working at my first company. Haven't really left yet, but I've rotated in 3 different roles in my company, right? And the love aspect of me, I'm getting married in June to my fiance who's here today. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so for me, it's less interactive than Cheryl. It's more about like sharing my experience and my story, right? So I've titled like my two parts of my story as the BC and the AD, right? You know, but so BC is the days of a bashful Chris, right? So just to give you a bit of my experience, right? So like for as long as I could remember from when I was young, right, I always knew that I wanted to get married. Right, I was someone who strongly desired for a relationship lah, right? And me being very bashful and very shy, still very shy nowadays, right? Is that I was very shy when it came to the opposite gender, like for quite a lot of my life lah, right? And growing up at home, I was a very mommy's boy. And what I mean as a mommy's boy is that my mom tell me that you cannot enter a relationship before you finish JC kind of thing. Then I'm the kind that okay, I won't. And I really never, right? So I'm the kind that never defied her, right? She tell me cannot watch Pokemon, I don't watch, right? Cannot read Harry Potter, I don't read. So I'm really a mommy's boy. So that was me, right? I didn't choose to. It's not that. I mean, there was frustration with that, but I respected my mom like and her advice. So for me, I just didn't enter any kind of relationship lah, right? So of course, as a guy, you have eye candy here and there, you have crushes and all that, right? True. I mean, you're raging hormones since secondary school, right? So you see people, you have eye candy. Yeah. So I mean, yeah lah. But of course, it just remained as crush and nothing more lah. I really respected my mom for her advice lah, right? So I mean, then came the period after JC. Now I'm free, right? I already have like completed my studies and no more distraction, no more excuses that she can say, right? Right. So of course, I was finally free to look around and experience the thrill of relationships, right? So during the period between my army and uni days, so that's about maybe six years, right? My romantic endeavors were pretty disappointing lah. Basically, it was like rejection after rejection from quite a few of my female friends lah, right? And I think these rejections were quite painful for me because they were not like people that I see and then like, hey, this girl pretty, then after that I try and chase her, then cannot work out, I go for another one, right? Because for me, I need to know someone very deeply as a friend first. It takes me quite a long to like warm up to a person that I think that I want to see in a partner, right? So it could have been, I think in some cases were like at least 2 years before I even like confess to the person kind of thing, right? So it's a long time. So rejections hurt a lot to me because it wasn't just like unfulfilled expectation of the relationship I have with someone, like from friendship to something more. But the fact that like you're tearing apart your friendship with the person at the same time by putting your head on the line. I'm not sure that you guys had that kind of experience before. So for me, it happened again and again, right? And for me, not that I didn't change my pattern because I know that I needed to know someone as a friend very deeply before I could see them as something more, because I didn't just want to see them how they treat me in a very enclosed or very superficial environment. So for me, I had to see them like for who they were. So it was quite a lot of pain for me in those years of especially like army to uni days, right? And after each rejection, there's of course long periods of pain and like a lot of questioning God, right? A lot of tears, a lot of like God, I thought I learned this lesson already. Why again and again and again, right? Happened like 4 to 5 times during this few year period. Yeah, so that was quite a painful time in my life, right? And being someone who is not usually very emotional, this is one of the things that actually made me cry, right? Army didn't really make me cry, or even, I don't know. I mean, no other experiences really made me cry except in this relationship. So I guess I was very vulnerable in this area. Perhaps God was trying to work in me in some way or another. Yeah, so then came the final year of my university, right? So in the final year of university, you have, your friends will ask you, oh, so how's your FYP, right? So I'll say, oh, my FYP is very tiring. I had to spend long nights in the computer lab because I had to work on like computer modeling simulations in my project, right? And I say, no, I'm not asking about the FYP, right? They're asking me about, how's your progress in finding your partner, right? Then I was just like, oh, like don't have law kind of thing, right? So I told them like there's not much positive progress, and of course the friends who knew me closer would know the struggles I'm going through, right? Whether it's Christian friends or like even like other classmates that were not Christian. I mean, I just like don't have law. Yeah, I mean some of them journeyed with me also, right? So for me, I graduated from NUS being as evergreen as the day that I entered NUS, right? Yeah, I mean, evergreen is like a term that you use when you play the traffic light game, right? I remember when you go orientation camp, yeah, red light, green light, then got red light with green arrow also. Yeah, so for me, I graduated from NUS not even having entered into a relationship or even like going through the dating phase at all, right? So when I came out, it was with a sense of jadedness and a despair about the state of my relationship life, because for me, I just felt like my track record was just like very, very dismal. Like all these years, I tried so hard, I prayed, I tried to work through with God, kind of thing, right? But it didn't turn out the way that I want. And then I was like, once you exit uni, you start entering the workplace, like where got time? Or like where is the opportunities? So that was my mental state. I really wanted it. Maybe to the extent that at some points it felt like almost like an idol, like something that I desired more than God, right? But then for me, this was my state when I left university. So that was like 5 years ago. Okay, then now, of course, the interesting part is the AD, right? How I met her, right? Right. So during the first 1.5 years of my work, I was working as a project engineer in Tuas area. So Tuas where got girls, all you see is like men of different colors, right? Yeah, like literally So basically, and it's an engineer territory so that's why the stereotype of engineering is really quite. You work in a ulu place, you travel all the way back. You don't really have much interaction right? But my job had quite good working hours, right? Yeah. Hey, hi Josh. Okay, yeah. So yeah, my job had very good working hours. I hardly had to work OT right? So so on one hand, my work life was quite okay, but on the hand, it's like once I go back home, like there's not many opportunities to meet females in my case right? And I wouldn't say that I exhausted my church options, but like I got bitten enough from like church experiences that like I just didn't want to like pursue anyone else in church right? Yeah, because it like you're trying to mix your romantic life with your church life. That's very a mother of things which I don't like I don't know whether you guys have that kind of experience. Yeah. Okay, so for me, my well-meaning friends tell me, hey, why don't I try CMB, right? So I tried CMB for a while, right? But then I was being very shy, right? I didn't even dare to like approach any girls on the app even, right? So I'll be like 1 week or 2 weeks, I'll just be like swiping on the app, then looking at the profile and all that, but like I don't even dare to say hi to them, kind of thing, right? I didn't even dare to say hi, right? So there was I think there was one that I tried to say hi, kind of thing, right? But then she didn't reply even, right? So yeah. So after less than a month, I remember that basically I felt the discomfort with using a dating app for myself. I just felt like I was almost like at a pet shop trying to choose different pet. This pet got like to eat carrots, like to sleep after they take a nap. So it's like it felt like it's almost a very curated profile of yourself, showing like the best side of yourself, right? That's like a pet shop, right? Because pet shop, you don't see the bad side, you don't see all the poop, all the expensive vet fees, but those are the things that come after, right? So that was what I felt like. It's like a curated version of yourself, which I couldn't do it. And besides, like even the one girl that I messaged, she didn't even want to reply me or maybe she already off the app already, but then her profile's still there. These kind of things happen, right? Yeah. So after my experience with that, I just felt like very uncomfortable with this way of meeting people. So I deleted the app I told God I mean, you send a miracle, I don't need app. I mean, although a lot of people meet people through app that day, it wasn't for me, and it wasn't something that I was willing to go on to use again. Yeah, right. But me being single, I had a lot of time to serve God, both in church and even in VCF after I graduated from CF. So in 2018, I was asked to help out as a Bible study trainer, right, in the camp, right, and I see some of my group mates here. Yeah, right. So because the commitment was quite high. I think there were like at least 8 different sessions of like 2 to 3 hours that we had to prep. So it was a lot of prep work for us. But since I was single, I was free, right? That was basically a time like, okay, I'll just do that, right? Yeah. So it was at that camp antique where I met Amanda. Then Shandon was also in my group. Keith was also in my group, right? Yeah, but nothing happened then of course right? It was only like 4 days of Bible. Nothing happened there except for 4 days of intense Bible study, which I guess we all enjoyed, right? Yeah, yeah. So so before Antique ended, I mean our group did exchange Instagram accounts as a way to keep contact. Actually, I didn't really use Instagram at the point of time really, because I don't know. I wasn't really a social media person lah. Yeah. So what happened is that a couple of days later, I happened to see Amanda post something. The next slide. Oh, this is our group photo. So this is my group. You can see. This was supposed to be a funny photo, but clearly the guys there were quite boring. Don't know how to do funny face. The girls were too like shy to give funny face. So except for the two of us, you can see we truly had our A game. Yeah. Yeah. So what happened after the camp is that this is how I slid into her DM, Instagram. Yeah, okay. So if you see on the left hand side, right, I basically she did post a photo of some street food. I think she ate some street food in Singapore, right? Then this is where I slid in her DM. So I didn't even say like hi or hey even. I just went like, oh, is that mushroom? Then she replied very excitedly, oh yes it is, it's so good kind of thing. So this was literally our first conversation. Yeah. So this was our first conversation that we had. It wasn't like the very typical on the app kind of like some corny joke, you know, trying to make up some corny joke based on the profile, you know, kind of thing. Oh, I like this too, you like this too, kind of thing. Or just like, oh, is that a mushroom? So this was really literally our first time that we talked. Yeah. So apart from that, then that's where we began quite an unlikely friendship lah, because that was the only time that we met, right? That's the only time we met at camp, and then we became friends from there. And then I think took us about 10 months. Then after that, we got together formally lah. Yeah, so that was basically the journey of my from barrenness into fruitfulness for me. Okay, well, I wasn't say barrenness, barrenness in one aspect of my life, but of course fruitfulness in other aspects of my life lah. But that was basically the whole journey, and I think today I'm here to share three main perspectives that I have, whether you are single or whether you are attached, whatever relationship status is today, and I hope that it will bless you lah in the road ahead lah. Right. So one thing that one thing cannot see the top of the screen. I must like unpin it, is it? Can I move it? Is there a pin? Okay, yeah. Okay. So I think this was something that I struggled very hard to understand, that whatever season you're in, right, is a gift from God, right? It just doesn't, so whether you are single, it's a gift, whether you're dating, it's a gift, whether you're married, it's a gift, right? And when we talk about gifts, right, I mean, sometimes we think about Santa Claus, or we think about God as our gift giver, right? Right? You realize that, you know, if God chooses to give A to some person, B to some person, C, different gifts to different person, I mean, of course, we are very covetous lah, right? Whatever we have, when we open up or we ask a gift, but then we see another person, how come the person got iPhone? I only got like an iPad or whatever. Okay, whatever lah. Okay, so basically, is the idea of different gifts lah, right? So different gifts, right? They're all gifts in its own way, right? But then, maybe we don't see it in a way. Like, how come it seems like their gift is more shiny than mine, right? Yeah. So I think for me, it's really articulating what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7:7 here, right? He said that I wish that all were as I myself am, which is he was as a single, right? I mean, that's the way that most of us understand Paul. I mean, yeah, but as each has his own gift from God, one of one kind and one of another, right? So for me, I did acknowledge that deep within me, I still had a desire for a relationship, right? And this desire for a relationship did not diminish throughout this whole period that I was a single. In fact, it just grew more and more, right? More discontentment, but I wanted it more and more, right? But God was slowly helping me to cherish and make the most out of my singlehood, right? To see it as a gift, because I didn't really see it as a gift. I see it as like almost like a curse that I didn't want to have, right? But God was helping me to see it, right? And I think it was through church sermons, it was through a lot of the articles online. I think in the early days, Thirst was very helpful for me. Thirst and Selah were very helpful for me, right? And some of the books that I read, right? That God was helping me to change my perspective that singleness is not a less desirable state. Although sometimes we always see that, right? But help me to see my singleness at that season of my life as a gift, right? So you don't know whether your gift might change in life, right? It might change. Sometimes you might meet someone, you are in dating phase, but then it doesn't work out, you go at single phase. So each phase of life, we have different gifts that we have. And because these are all God-given, right, we should cherish them. And sometimes it's not easy to cherish them, but sometimes it takes a while for us to cherish them, right? It took me quite a while to really see it as a gift from God. And so whether we have whatever gift that we have right now, right, whether we have it for life or at some point where our singlehood might be exchanged for the gift of marriage, right? So we should receive what we've been given, right? In the end, everything comes from the hand of God, lah, and we embrace the opportunities that each of these gifts bring, lah, right? So when I was reflecting on my singlehood, my season of singlehood, right, I could see that God was working in me in different ways. He was giving me blessings in other ways, that He was really strengthening my relationship that I had with my parents. Because when I started work, that was when I actually had the most dinners at home, right? When I was in school, you have a lot of CCA, you have a lot of activity. I hardly eat at home, but after I started working, I really had a lot of time with my parents. I started running with my dad even. That was something I never done in my life at all. I had at least like 3 or 4 dinners at home with them. It's a luxury, something that I never had for many years growing up because I was staying on campus also, right? So God was really strengthening my relationship with them, right? God was also using my ability to serve Him in many ways. Because I was single, I had a lot more time, right? I had different ministries that I was fully able to commit to, right? And just pouring out myself in ministry, and also God was also helping me to prepare myself for my future relationship. So it wasn't a season of like nothing happening, right? Although sometimes you wake up today like, hey, nothing happened. But actually God was slowly basically shaping me to helping me to secure my identity in Christ even more, right? And also shaping my views on how a Christian relationship should be like, right? Because I had many friends who were attached that basically share with me about relationship, and it really gave me perspective. And I think that for me, when I entered my relationship, it was very helpful because I already knew like how a Christian relationship should be different from a secular relationship, and how I wanted my relationship to look out. So it's like basically helping me to concretize all these things even before I was in a relationship. Of course, for everyone, experience might be different. Some of us might learn these things along the relationship. Some of us might really got married, teach us some of these things earlier. Yeah. And then for those who are dating here today, so I think the gift of relationship shouldn't just be a gift that you guys share with your partner, because sometimes a relationship can become very insular, right? You really complain about you don't really have enough time with your partner, like how do I have enough time for everyone else, my family and all that, right? But always consider about how your relationship can be expanded to the people around you, right? That's why like a church wedding isn't just a wedding of 2 people, it's a celebration of the community. And you realize that when you have church wedding, you actually have a lot of the community involved, right? You have to find people to help you with this and that and all that. And it's a celebration of your relationship. Yeah, so whatever state you are, learn to see and think about what it means as it being a gift. Yeah, whether you're single, you're dating, you're married, right? So it's more about, I think Christianity is a lot about perspective change always, right? We can always see something with our physical eyes, but do we see things with a spiritual thing? Like, do we just see only what's in front of our eyes? Oh, I'm single, I'm sad, I'm lonely, kind of thing. I want a relationship, but I'm not. But do you actually see how God is working? How maybe it can be that God is preparing the other person for you. Maybe you're already prepared 10 years ago, whatever. Right? But God, somehow we don't know how God works, right? So that is basically how we see things, our perspective. Okay. Then the second point that I have is that to God, this is a quote that I took from someone, that to God, our journey is as important as our destination, right? So it's not about the end point of a relationship, right? So for me, the pursuit of relationship through the many years was, I think, one of my life's most extreme emotional roller coaster. I'm not sure whether you guys can empathize with that, right? Because I vacillate between the sweetness of infatuation and attraction to someone, and then after that, the despondency that comes when you have rejection. So it's really almost the most up and down journey in my life. Because like grades, don't do well, then don't do well, lor, right? Whatever, then like IPPT don't get gold lor, whatever lor, RT lor. So it's like almost like a kind of like everything else is pretty neutral to me. Yeah. So, but it was only because of this whole journey in life, right, that I think I've experienced God in ways unique that I didn't experience Him in other ways of my life, right? Because it was such an emotional journey, I have experienced His comfort many, many times, right? Because there weren't many other occasions in life where I was deeply sad, like whether it's like the death of a relative or that. I didn't really feel that deep sadness that lasted for quite a long time, right? So I think it was one of these experiences that really helped me, that each failed opportunity helped me to be very honest and allow me to express my rawest emotions to God, right? In the beginning, it starts with like a mishmash of a lot of negative emotions, a lot of frustration, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of pity, right? A lot of disappointment, despair, right? And after that, when I'm done wallowing with my own emotions, right? After that, you have to still get out of your own shell and all that, right? Then God was always there to comfort me with his love, right? Always to remind me that I'm never alone because he's never left me or forsaken me. So it's letting the truth of God sit in after I'm done with all my like shitty feelings, right? And also bringing people to comfort me in my grief, right? So that really helped me to see the value of like who are my friends lah. Basically, like not just in enjoying the happy moments, but who are the people who can just sit there and listen to me when I was in these moments lah. Yeah, and there are things about like what I call about re-surrender, right? It's like the name of one of the new songs, right? Yeah, but I like the word re-surrender because I had to learn time and time again what it meant to re-surrender and relinquish control to God. Right? If you think maybe you submit the first time to God, yeah lah, I don't have I already like lay my idol for relationship at the altar already. It won't come back again. But actually, you realize that it comes back again and again and again. Right? Sometimes in life we struggle with the same sin again and again. Right? So our whole journey as a Christian journey is really always learning to surrender again and again, right? Because we don't know when it might come back to us again, right? Right? There's nothing that I could have done physically to have augmented the outcome, right? It's not like I style my hair nicer or I wear nicer clothes, then maybe I become more attractive. It's nothing that I could have done, right? So for me, I feel like it's not like my relationship with studies where, you know, basically I put in more effort, then most of the time it shows up. I study more, you know, you get some kind of result you can. But there's nothing I can do in relationships to make me change or augment the outcome, right? So for me, in relationship aspect, there was really a sense of helplessness. There was really nothing I could do, and it's one of the areas of my life that I had to trust and to wait on his time, right? And yeah, so I think it says, I mean, expressing my rawest emotions is like how David expresses it in Psalm 62:8. It says, trust in him at all times. O people, pour out your heart before him, for God is a refuge for us. So this is really one of the expresses in life where I experiences the deepness of comfort and really understanding, growing my walk with God also. So it wasn't just about the end point of a relationship, but where am I growing through this whole journey? And this was my my experience. And the last point I have is that he has made everything beautiful in its time. Let me just move this up. Right. So I mean, like most of us, I don't know. Okay, most of you are single. You feel that your uni years were the most fruitful and the most socially active time, right? You have so many. It feels like almost an opportune season to get attached, and a lot of friends do get attached in the uni period, right? Right. But I have to admit, at the back of my mind, you know, I was also praying and hoping that I'll meet someone from VCF, right? So I attend VCF so faithfully, right? Right. Y'all, I know you're all very holy, but I wasn't. I know I go there, I started VCF in first year already. Yeah, like you think only I got two main hunting ground, right? It's either church or CF. Right. Then my church not the mega church, it's a very, very small kind of church, right? They were like 3 or 4 guys like the same girl, then you jalat already. Right. So it's that kind of thing. After that, a lot of tangling and all that I didn't really like. So VCF got at least a wider place, you know. If things fail, you just like disappear to another ministry or what, it's okay. Right. And then we also know that VCF also stands for Varsity Couple Factory, right? So in me, there was always that hope that, okay, you know, maybe if I'm here one day, I'll meet someone. But after 4 years of VCF, I didn't meet anyone. Right. So for me, so for myself, I graduated as Evergreen, and I felt that I missed this window opportunity that was so good for me, right? So I felt quite sad after that. I was like, wow, 4 years, but no, yeah, there was no progress in all that, right? But then, for me, I think I really resonate with this that God has this idea of kintsugi, right? That God has really made me more beautiful through my brokenness, and every time he break me, he repair me again, right? And this is the Japanese art form where they repair this pottery with precious material like gold kind of liquid, and it becomes an art in itself, right? So, and I think as with all things in our life, like sometimes we are in a waiting season, we get very kanchiong, right? Yeah, but I think that grows our patience and also helping to see how God wants to play out our whole story, So that is my main third point of sharing. So I think it's really that we need to trust in God's timing, whether it's a few days, a few months, a year, a decade. Do we wait on God because we trust in Him? Do we wait because we know that He has made everything beautiful in His time? Right? There might be a reason why He's not giving you what you want now, because maybe you're not ready, maybe it's not the right season. But do we just rely on Him? Yeah. And I think this aspect of our life is very, very difficult because it's a constant struggle that for me took almost 10 years to materialize even. right? My mom tell me I must start praying about my marriage partner when I'm 18. So that's when I started praying, right? It's almost 9 years, 10 years, 18-year old. Almost 9 years later when I actually met someone that could be my marriage partner and would be marrying. So it was really a very long journey, a lot of seasons of waiting, up and downs, but I think through it all, and I think I can see most clearly God's hand working in this area of my life, compared to other areas of my life, that He did provide for me someone at the right time, and I think I'm very glad that God has used this journey to teach me a lot of things about myself, shape and sharpen a lot of things about myself, and also helping me to see more of what it means to trust in God. So with that, yeah, that's the end of my sharing. Yeah.
Chris and Amanda needs to go for their wedding photo shoot. So, right. So we will have a quick Q&A. And then we will do the small group and we will go. Alright. So Sharon, can you join me with that?
No, we get Amanda and Josh to answer the questions. Because 1 + 1 more than 2.
Okay. So stress Josh out, okay? Just know your.
It's like when Josh came in, it's like, wow, how come the seat is in front one?
Okay.
Must I sit? You don't need that. Actually, the mic is here. Okay, yeah. You all think first.
What do I want to ask is that what for fresh graduates who are not really thinking too hard about relationship yet, why do you think they're like that? And when do you think to start not think?
What's your assumption in the question?
What?
What are you assuming in this question you're asking?
Yeah, most fresh graduates will be very hard about this thing.
Really? About the way that you are spending your time, whether it's at work, whether it's outside of work, right? Of course, God has given us different ways to enjoy our time and all that, but do we think about the way that we use our time? Yeah, like we are free to use it in any way, but do we give it more thought? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I can see one of us. Okay, like that. Yeah, okay.
So when should they start thinking about it properly?
Thinking about what?
When should they start the taking action?
Whenever you want. There's no one answer fit all, right? Yeah. I mean, last time when I had one of my friends who always like advised me in a relationship, right? And always will pray for me, that kind of thing. I think for him, he had the theology of like master mission mate. First, you need to know your master, right? Who is God and all that, right? then you need to be clear with like what God wants you to do in life, right? Your mission, your life mission. And then hopefully along the journey where you're pursuing your mission, then you'll find a mate that is aligned in your mission, because in the end, God don't just bring people to be happy with one another. It's really to fulfill his kingdom purposes. So that was one of the theology that he mentioned. Yeah, but I think what I felt about that is also like not everyone knows their life mission very early in life, right? An example of the Bible, like a lot of them that they might only know their mission in life. For example, Abraham, late in their life also, right? So that was something that I remember from what he shared with me. So like if you are if you're not looking for your mate right now, then you can be thinking and praying more about like what does God want you to do in your life, and what you want to do in your life may not just be a specific job, yeah, but it might be more about like what's the direction he's leading you towards, yeah. If we want to walk in alignment with his plans for us, yeah. How are you?
I don't really know how to answer this.
Okay, next. Okay, I've been up for Sean's questions already. How about the rest? No questions. All got it together already. Great. Huh? Wait, you all know each other, you all don't know each other one? Oh, half. Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you all engine boys or all not? Okay, I don't know. Half each other, okay.
Okay, I think it's more directed. Because you mentioned that there comes a lot of rejection, right? I think maybe for some of us, you might have the fear of rejection, so maybe how do you overcome that fear? When you do actually get rejected, how do you feel?
Well, I think as with any fear, I think as Christians we only know that only God can help us to remove these fears, right? And it might come again and again, right? Like I said, like it's always whether it's a fear of rejection, whether it's a fear of failure and all that, right? If it always comes to us as a fear, then we need to surrender it to God again and again, right? Whether it's a fear of the future, what am I going to do in my future job? You don't know. You still need to surrender to God again and again. So I think that there's really no way to deal with our fear except in a way that we have to channel it towards God. Yeah, and I think how did I deal with specifically fear of rejection? Of course, part of it is that you process things with God, right? I mean, whether it's through like your raw emotions, your anger, your disappointment, whatever way that you channel things to God, right? But I think the other way is also having a community who knows you and who is willing to walk you through this journey, right? So for me, I had really one friend that walked me through, I think 2 or 3 of my rejections, right? So I think, and it's always just, I think it's just always being very vulnerable. Sometimes as guys, we are very, very hard for us to like let down our guard and share these very painful parts. Yeah, like rejection is not something that's very easy to share, right? But it's something that I feel that we all struggle with, right? And sometimes it's not talked about with. So I think find people or a community that you trust that allows you to share your burdens, right? It's not just about the other failures in your life, but if this is something that is very private to you, like let God use the other people in your community to support you through this journey. Yeah, whether you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, anything, I think it's a way to develop trust as well. So it's quite a personal thing, I feel. Right? When you're hurt very deeply, you don't want to like expose it to the whole world, but you also know the people who you can share your burdens with and the people who can receive it, right? And give you good advice, or maybe in some cases what we need is just to like someone who to slap you back into like your normal way of life again. To wake you up, you cannot let you wallow in your self-pity for like too long, right? So sometimes you just need that voice of people to wake you back, yeah.
Does it get easier?
Does it
get rejected enough time?
I don't think it gets easier. I think like the pain is almost like a wound that heals, right? Let's say you fall down on your knee, you get a scratch kind of thing, then it heals again, right? And then you fall down again, it's the same wound that reopens again and again. I don't think that you get numb towards the feeling of rejection. I think every rejection still feels bad. Yeah, but it's just how do you deal with it? I don't think it gets better.